Hi guys, welcome back to the Astrology. Today we are continuing with the monthly reading. In this one, you are going to be finding the insights about Cancer sign. Now, you can watch this from both Cancer Ascendant Rising or also from Cancer Moon perspective. Of course, if you're watching this from a Cancer Moon standpoint, you have to understand that these significances that you will derive from this video are going to be more from your mental status perspective, emotional status perspective. However, from Cancer Lagna or rising standpoint, you can see physical manifestations coming into play, realizations in your actual life in terms of physical significances. So I hope that gives you clarity as to what you can get out of this video. Of course, if you are watching from Lagna, I recommend you to watch the other video from your moon sign as well, and that will give you a lot of understanding. So without further ado, guys, let's deep down into the planetary positions for this month and figure out what's happening for you folks. So Cancers, as you guys can see on your screen here, you have a cloud of planets which is coming into your ninth house in the sign of Pisces at different point in times. Multiple of these planets will be moving into this house for you. First and foremost, being Cancer Moon or Cancer Rising, as you are watching this video, of course, Moon is going to be traversing across the landscape for you. However, you have your 10th lord, which is Mars, placed in your 12th house. You have Jupiter, which is your ninth lord, where all this commotion is happening in your 11th house, whilst Ketu and Rahu are sitting in the 3 and 9 axis. Now, third house in your sign of Virgo, you will see the aspects of almost all the planets coming into play in this month. How? First of all, Ketu is placed in the third house itself. Jupiter is giving an aspect from its fifth. Mars is giving an aspect from its fourth. Rahu is aspecting, and so is Mercury and Venus. And then Sun will get into your ninth house from March 14th onwards, while Saturn will come to this house on March 29th, the biggest movement of the year. Now, guys, as we move ahead, I want to draw your attention. If you want me to prepare a transit video for Saturn and the impact this biggest transit is going to have for you guys, I'll request you to please drop your comments and put out your comments if you would want me to prepare the same. And I'm going to do the activity in the week following to this. Anyways, as we move ahead, what we see is that first and foremost, Venus is got into retrogression from day one in this month, and it is sitting in its sign of exaltation in a mutual exchange with Jupiter. Now, the exaltation of Venus is very supportive, especially given the fact that it rules your 11th house as well as your 4th house and landing into a heightened mode in the ninth house itself. There is a strong possibility that this has been a very supportive period for you in terms of deriving gains. Why? Because 11th Lord is going 11 places away from itself. But you also have to understand that now that this Venus is retrograde, there will be potential delays that will be coming into play. See, for Cancerians, you guys are going to witness something transformative with respect to your life. Now, it could be with respect to your destiny, any big news coming in on that front, something related to your father, your principles could get jolted. Some sort of transformation is going to be impacting you. And even though this is transit, and I keep repeating that transitory impacts are not more than 10, 20, 30% per se, because more so, I like to see things from your natal dasha, from your Mahadasha, Antardasha perspective. But given that so much is happening in one particular sign, in one particular house for you guys, you are going to definitely feel the itch of it. Now, as this Venus is retrograded, you are going to find some level of that could come into play. And what do I mean by slowness here? It's like the revving of the engine, but the bike or the car is yet to take off. That is how you can anticipate the movement of retrograded planets. And Venus's retrogression is going to tell that there are going to be certain wishes, certain goals and objectives that you've been chasing, Cancerians, for a while. But it will take time for you to flourish with them. It will take time for you to accomplish those goals and objectives because there is some level of delay that might come up. Now, you have to also understand that this Venus connects with your fourth house. It is a six places movement that has happened for the fourth lord into the ninth. And again, it is a Raj Yoga coming into play. It's a positive movement which indicates that you are going to find some sort of a leverage with respect to your bosses, superiors, leadership at work, or even your fatherly figure, your dad, somebody that you look up to, your mentor or gurus, who are going to be bestowing you with satisfaction towards your mental peace, growth in terms of your assets, or your general well being. However, the fact of the matter that it is sitting with an accomplice, and that accomplice is Rahu, who is looking forward to expand things for you in this house. Now, Rahu's position could also bring deep interest for you to pursue subjects of international matters. It also brings a possibility of you developing relationships with people from different background, community, race, culture, whatnot. Now, given the fact that Jupiter is in exchange with this Venus, it is a positive aspect that is coming into play for you folks because the Lord of wish fulfillment is in exchange with the Lord of destiny, with the Lord of fortune, dharma. And that is why I think with the presence of Rahu also in the ninth house, it is going to become so very important that you would want to pursue your dharmic path. You would want to pursue your protocols. The moral compass is going to dictate terms for you, specifically in the month of March, even in the next few weeks to follow post that. Why do I say that? See, one, you understand the connection between Jupiter and Venus, then ninth house energy in itself is that of spirituality. I would not be surprised if many of you might plan to take some long distance travel, distance to a pilgrimage place, even exploring foreign lands, foreign places, and cultures. That is a heightened possibility, or developing relationships with people from different backgrounds. Multiple such possibilities will arise for you folks, cancers, and of course it depends on your dasha and antardasha as to how things are going to pan out. Now you have to also understand that Mercury has been conjunct since day one of Mars, and it has March, and it has been in debilitation in this sign. Yes, he is getting a niche bhanga. He is the lord of your 12th house and your third house. So he's giving an aspect back, which is an exalted aspect to the third house. So that's a good sign. But when the 12th lord is coming to the ninth house, it does indicate the possibility of you pursuing any kind of international travel, foreign travel. Even many of you might be planning for international settlement. And there is a probability with all this retrogression of planets that some of those decisions or some of those actions within your life might find a delay because Mercury himself will get into retrogression from 14th of March itself. So one, it is debilitated. Yes, the beautiful part is that he is getting a niche bhanga. But the fact that he is also getting into retrogression, it is going to add further complexity to the situation. And thus, I will highly recommend you to be very cautious when kind of making any decisions at your workplace. Your decision making ability could hurt you at this point in time. And that is because of Mercury's position. Given that he's the lord of your third house, there could be certain challenges that might come in your neighborhood or with respect to your short distance travels or wild moves to your siblings as well. However, you will bounce back out of any of those situations because the aspect of Mercury itself is exalted to the third house. But being the 12th Lord in debilitation in the ninth house definitely gives us a warning that some sort of unknown challenges could come your way. It can come at your workplace, it can come to your father, it could come during your business or personal travels as well. And that is why you will have to take extreme caution during this period of time because it can cause you some mental and emotional trauma, frustration. Now, This Rahu is also giving an aspect to your Lagna, your third house, as well as your fifth house. From a relationship standpoint, I mentioned that there is a possibility that you could come in contact with new people from different background, but at the same time, you will have to show high moral character during this point of time. You will have to uphold your dignity and maintain that composure, or else this can be a tricky situation given that Venus is currently retrograded, but it is in exchange with Jupiter. However, if you look at the aspects of Jupiter, it's giving a debilitated aspect to your seventh house, but it is one of the strongest aspects. I like that aspect because it is the ninth aspect of Jupiter. He is going to keep things in good control from your relationships, business partnerships, marriage perspective. Mars is also giving an exalted aspect to your seventh house. And since apart from these two planets, Ketu will also be giving an aspect to your sign of Capricorn, where you see it is the house which is 10th. From 10th, business partnerships and measures taken in terms of crucial development of those areas will become highly important for you. You will have to take call as to how you would want to proceed from your formal relationships connections perspective. At the same time, I will recommend that if you are married, please do not lose your temper. You will have to be very watchful of your emotions, of your expression, and how you articulate things, because this aspect of Mars is not going to be a great one for married people. At the same time, this Mars is giving an aspect to your sixth house, Lord of which is going 6 places away from itself. Sixth from sixth is the 11th house. So that's a good movement for Jupiter. And this combination of Mars and then movement of Jupiter is forming a very strong Shatru Hanta yoga for yourself. Means you will be encountering a lot of challenges. You will be facing a lot of difficulties, complexities during the course of the month of March. However, you will still be able to bounce back. You will be able to address those issues, do your level best suited at that point in time. So I recommend you to not fear much of all the problems that are coming. Yes, it can be very frustrating, daunting as well. However, you will have some or the other solution towards those problems. And that is the best thing that is happening for you, Cancer. Now, if you move ahead, you will notice that Sun, which is the Lord of your second house, is your Dhanesh. And he's come into your eighth house, from where he's going to be giving an aspect back to himself. Now, for all of you who watch my videos, you know that I'm personally not particularly fan of luminaries coming into the eighth house, but it is forming a very strong connection with Saturn, which is getting combusted. Now, Saturn is your seventh and eighth lord, and thus this association becomes tricky. It becomes tricky with respect to your marital bliss. It becomes tricky with respect to your partnerships. You could find certain outcomes which might not be as significant as you had anticipated, or it is possible that your you know derivative of those efforts might be lesser than what you had planned for, but at the same time things will improve over a period of time. So you will have to continue to remain invested with your partnerships, in your marriage, with your in-laws. You will have to go through the grind. That is what the Saturn is going to ask you to do. And if you go through it, you will find tremendous success coming out of it. While on the other hand, Sun, which is in conjunction in the eighth house for the first half of the month, will be moving on to the ninth house, where it becomes conjunct with Mercury, Rahu, and Venus in the later part of the month. And once that happens, what you will realize is that the second Lord is forming a connection with the ninth house, which is another Raj Yoga in itself. Yes, it is this eighth movement, but it is a movement of, or it is a collaboration of two holy houses. And you will start observing that your savings, your growth, your income will be on rise from the second half of this period. Yes, you will struggle in the initial part, you will have your frustrations, but do not worry, you are going to bounce back from that situation. Saturn, on the other side, is going to form, especially if you are watching this from a Cancer moon perspective, Ashtam Shani yoga for you, which is a challenging bit in itself. And that is why I would want to call out that this Saturn is giving a debilitated aspect to your 10th house. You will have to be extremely careful towards your karma, towards your workplace, towards your job front. Similarly, what you will observe is that Ketu is giving an aspect to your 7th house, 9th house, and your 11th house. And these are positive aspects. Yes, this Ketu is going to make you less focused towards work. It might take away your interest towards pursuing new opportunities all by yourself. However, this Ketu is still very great with its aspect in terms of bringing you the gains or expecting you to bring gains to your life when you are not hung up about closing those opportunities. And that is the beauty of this Ketu. Mars, on the other hand, is currently placed in your 12th house. He is the 10th lord. This gives a very strong window for many of you to pursue careers abroad. You might have to travel, you might have to take a long distance trip in your job profile, in your work life, because of your experience as well as your energy to do. At the same time, if this is not panning out, many of you will witness that there is a increased amount of spending which is coming into play. So donating some amount of sweets, sugary stuff, even jaggery is going to be extremely helpful as a remedy for you folks to follow. We have already discussed about Saturn bit as well, and I've already talked about the sixth lord moving 6 places away into the 11th house, which means Venus's transit to this is going to be particularly good from your health perspective. You will start recovering and doing much better from your health and being standpoint now this month onwards. I hope, guys, that gives you some clarity and sense as to what the month of March entails for you. If you've enjoyed watching this video, then I'll request you to smash on that like button, subscribe to Dev Astrology, and keep watching. Om Namah Shivaya.